Golden Road Arts is a nonprofit that offers art classes for kids so they can make the most of their own creativity. At Golden Road Arts, we believe that children's access to art is the key to reaching their full potential. Using simple materials usually found around the house, we explore the basics of the creative process. Together with Barbara, her sidekick Artie the Art Bear, and other Northwest artists, we invite you to join us on our creative adventure along the Golden Road.
Hi, this is Barbara Mason. Welcome to Golden Road Arts. You can see I still have my mask on, even though we're getting closer and closer to being able to beat the virus. Until everybody is vaccinated, we still have to be real careful. But I'm going to take my mask off so it'll be easier for me to talk to you while we're doing the video. And today we're going to do a really fun thing. We're going to have a color of the day, and an artist of the day, and a shape of the day. And so our color today is going to be red. Actually red, yellow, and blue. And our shape of the day is going to be a square or a rectangle. And our artist of the day is going to be a man named Piet Mondrian. That's kind of a hard name to say, isn't it? It's very, very unusual spelling. So Piet was born in 1872. Now 1872 is almost 150 years ago, so this is really a long time ago. He was born in the Netherlands. He was a Dutch painter, and everybody pretty much who is an artist knows who Mondrian was because he was pretty famous. So he started out just like every artist does. He started painting the things around him, painting his neighborhood, painting horses and trees and, you know, his town. And then as he got to be a better and better artist, he decided that, you know, he didn't want to paint things that were just pretty settings. And he thought that painting was so special to him that he thought it was more important to paint things that made people feel and that kind of evoked an emotion. And he thought that painting was so important, and he kept refining it down and down and down until he became what's known as an abstract painter. Now, abstract is kind of a funny word. People have a lot of different meanings for abstract, a lot of different things they think it is. But really, what abstract really means is to take something and refine it down to its essence. So the tiniest thing you could make out of something would be an abstract. And they talk about abstracts in writing. So you take a book, and if you make an abstract out of a book, you can do it in just a couple pages. And it's really just like a little quick telling of the tale. And so Mondrian decided, what he decided to do is he decided he was only going to use 3 colors in his work. And the colors were red, yellow, and blue. And, you know, we talked previously about the color wheel. And so I think the reason he chose red, yellow, and blue is because all the other colors can be made from red, yellow, and blue. And he decided to only use black lines. And he decided that they were only going to go straight across and straight up and down. So in some of our previous lessons, we talked about vertical lines and horizontal lines. And so these are the lines he chose, straight up and down and straight across. And he started doing all his work like that. And he did work where he only used one color. And so he would take a piece of paper like this with lines on it. And you can see I've got a couple here that we're going to copy these and put them on the internet. So you can use these or you can make your own. And what he did is he would say, okay, this is going to be my red composition. And he would make one little section of this red. And that would be his red composition. And he has a couple of these that are done like this, and they're called composition in red. So really the black lines are as important as the color, because the black lines hold the color, and they sort of give it form. So you can see it's pretty it's pretty interesting to have something with only one color on it. But then he started doing things with all three colors, and so sometimes he would do red and blue on the same painting, and then other times he would do red, blue, and yellow. Now he left the Netherlands and he moved to Paris. A lot of artists moved to Paris around the turn of the century. So at the turn of the century, which would have been 1900, so a long time ago, he decided that he would go to Paris, where all the artists were in Paris, and it was just a really amazingly fun time for art, to be an artist. And his art was pretty groundbreaking, and a lot of artists really liked his work. Some didn't like it. Some people thought he was crazy. It's just like always when you're an artist, some people appreciate you and some people don't. But if you're an artist, you're just kind of making things that you like. If you start making things other people like, pretty soon you find you don't do as good a work and you don't like your work as much. So it's important to make things that you like. Okay, so here we have a little Mondrian composition. And so there's quite a few of these compositions that are done like this with only a few colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some samples on the internet for you to look at. And we're also going to have a template for you to actually print out if you want. But if you want to make your own, it's kind of hard to draw straight lines. And so I have a piece of cardboard here that I'm going to use, that I could use as a kind of a ruler. So I could put this piece of cardboard here on my paper, and I could make a line right across. I've got a black pen here somewhere. There we go. Okay, so I could draw right on the edge of that cardboard and make a black line right across my paper. Just like that. Maybe I'll do one up here. And maybe I'll do one up here. So what if you don't have a piece of cardboard? What if at home you've got paper, but you don't have a piece of cardboard? How are you going to get a perfectly straight line? Well, one of the things you could do is you could take a piece of paper like this, and you can, if you just draw on the edge of a paper, it's really hard to do because it's too soft. But you could fold it, and then you could fold it again. So now you have an edge here. It's not as hard as cardboard, but it's pretty hard. So you could lay your paper here, and you could say, okay, this is going to be my straight line. So I'm going to come down like this, and then I'm going to skip that one, and I'm going to come down here. And then maybe I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make a line here. And maybe I'm going to make a line here as well. Maybe I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. So because this is your work, you can do it any way you want. Now, when Mondrian did all these pieces that were so groundbreaking, his theory was that art was so special, and it was so special to him that what he thought was the only thing that mattered. And so he just wanted to make it really special. And everyone liked his work. I mean, artists used it. They used it for advertising. There were some famous designers who made clothes, and they used Mondrian's work in their clothes. So his work was really, really special. Now, he moved to New York during the Second World War, and he lived the last few years of his life in New York, and he died in 1944. So that's almost 75 years ago, so a long time ago. So we could take other colors. We wouldn't have to use the three colors Mondrian used. We could say, gosh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use orange instead of red, and I'm going to make my squares orange. Because really, this is your work, and you can do it any way you want. So it's important to remember these artists because they were very, very instrumental in changing the way people looked at art. Before that, before these artists came along who started to do abstract work, people looked at art in the same way. They just wanted it to look very much like something they could see. So if they went outside and they saw a horse and a tree and a park and maybe a fence, that's what they thought the art should look like. They did not think that it should look like squares colored with red, yellow, and blue. So what do you think of this work? What do you think of Mondrian's work? Do you think you would like to make work that's just squares? Or do you think you would like to make work that looks like trees and houses and roads, maybe cars, things that you see every day? So now I wouldn't have to use red, yellow, and blue. I could use this color. Now this is kind of a green-blue color. What's it called? It's called, robin's egg blue. Wonder who names these things. They all have names. Who figures out the names for the crayons? I think they have 148 crayons now, so there's a lot of names. Okay, so now we've got our orange and our blue. So we've made our own Mondrian image with our own colors. We could have a third color too. What do you think our third color should be? Maybe our third color should be purple. Is purple? Oh, blue violet. So we've made a piece that looks kind of like Mondrian, but we've used our own colors and we've made our own squares. So I'm hoping that in your classroom or at home, you'll do some work that looks like Mondrian, and you'll make your own colors and your own squares, because after all, it's your work. It doesn't have to be red, yellow, and blue, but it could be. So this work is what's called abstract, and the other word is non-objective. So non-objective means that there's nothing in it that you can relate to. There's not an apple, there's not a pear, there's not a horse, there's not a cow, there's not a tree. It's just a design. So it doesn't have an object in it that we can relate to. Anyway, so I hope that you'll look up Mondrian and that you will check out on the internet some of his work. We're going to put some of it on our website for you. You'll be able to look at. And also we're going to put a picture of him on here. We found a couple of pictures of him, one that was a self-portrait. And you can see he was a really good painter. So he didn't just paint these things because he wasn't a good painter. Most people that do abstract work start out as very, very good painters, realistic painters, and then their work gets more and more and more abstract. So thanks so much for joining me at Golden Road today. I hope that you'll appreciate Mondrian. And remember, he was 150 years ago. Really, really a long time ago. And yet look at his work. Doesn't this look like something that you could see today and you would like it? Maybe if you saw this on an advertising billboard or you saw it on a can of soup, you would think, wow, that's a nice design. That's because Mondrian was really ahead of his time. I'm going to put my mask back on because I'm leaving the room, going out with everyone else, and I don't want to make them sick and I don't want to get sick. Thanks again for coming to visit me, and remember our color of the day was red, actually red, yellow, and blue, and our shape of the day was a square or a rectangle, and our artist of the day was Piet Mondrian. He was born in 1872 and he died in 1944, so a long time ago, but still very, very famous artist. Thanks so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.